Hey guys, welcome back to Predator Bass Fishing with Danny Rhodes. Today, I've been thinking, it's the beginning of the year, a lot of people maybe just gonna pick up bass fishing for the first time this year. Or a lot of guys that are just like, man, I wish I was a little bit better, knew what to do to catch bass. Maybe they grew up bluegill fishing, crappie fishing, something like that. And they're like, you know what, I just really want to get into bass fishing, where you're not watching a bobber and you're, working a bait and catching fish and having a lot more fun than just watching a bobber, float. So this video is for those people. Just a basic, things you can get at Walmart to get started that won't cost much at all, and you'll learn a ton and be right on your way to becoming a great bass fisherman. Let's get to it.
Headed out to the pond, he's gonna catch some toads. You're watching Predator Bass Fishing with Danny Rhodes. Whether he's ripping lips or unboxing it, he's doing everything under the sun. And you can catch it all here on Predator Bass Fishing.
Okay, first off, the easiest way that you can catch bass, you can do it on any single pole. We're going to talk about some poles and stuff that you can get at Walmart too. But you can use any pole, and it's how I got started bass fishing in a creek in Brandywine Creek here in central Indiana, and really didn't know what I was doing. I went with a guy that took me fishing a lot out on a boat, and was trying to learn how to worm fish and stuff, and that's not super easy. So it takes a little bit of getting used to and a little bit of work, but once you get used to that, which we're going to talk about it too, then you're on your way to fish all soft plastics once you learn how to worm fish. But the first thing, the easiest way to catch bass is with a spinnerbait. I just posted a video of a $1 Walmart spinnerbait, and a lot of guys were getting on their comment. A few guys kind of surprised me. They're like, I've never really caught him on spinnerbait. I'm gonna try it more, and they were probably saying, hey, I'm just throwing this thing out and reeling it in, and boom, I got one. Now when I first started, that's what I would do, is I would throw it out and I would just reel it in, straight retrieve. It's just moving right along and hoping one would grab it. And in the creek, oftentimes they really would. So, got a little one just waking up here. You sleep good? All right, I'm gonna make a video real quick.
I thought you already are.
Well, I am. Just getting started. Okay, so first thing, here's what I started with in the creek. It wasn't exactly this, but it was like this. The one I used was a Blue Fox crappie spinnerbait. This is a Strike King Mini King spinnerbait, and it's hard to tell how small this is, but there you go. Compared to my hand, you can tell. I want to say it's a 1/16 of an ounce. This thing, I've caught 5-pounders on it at Turtle Creek Reservoir. When they're just tired of seeing big baits all the time, this is awesome. Smallies, I've caught probably, not the most, but the second amount probably compared to a plastic worm. I've probably caught more smallies on this than anything else. In Brandywine, the smallies love it. This is just the easiest thing. You can throw it on anything. It could be, you could have like a medium light rod, or any rod, and that's gonna catch a fish. It could be in the creek, it could be in a pond, It could be at Turtle Creek Reservoir. It could be, you know, Geist, any place. Those fish, you know, in the reservoirs, they get used to seeing these big baits all the time. When they see something little like that, it's like, hey, there's something safe to eat, you know, and they'll hammer it. So, spinnerbaits, the easiest. Here's a $1 spinnerbait from Walmart. This is my most recent video, is catching them on this at my buddy's house. I think I caught like 8 or 10 on it. One of them was 3.81 pounds, but $1 spinnerbait. They have white, they have every color you want. This color for me has been great in the creek. I've caught smallies on it, a lot of bass, but you can't beat $1. You know, the Strike King Mini King, I think it's like $250, $237, so I don't know, something like that. But those are good too. You can't have enough of those if you're fishing in the creek, because you're gonna catch fish every time. You know, on the smaller rock bass, I've caught numerous rock bass on that. I've caught some crappie, not a ton of crappie, but I've caught a couple. I have a video out there where I finally catch a couple of crappie on it. It's like, I've caught 1,000 bass on this thing, and it was supposed to be a crappie spinnerbait, the Blue Fox one that they don't make anymore. And finally, I caught a couple crappie on it, and I was like, you know, this isn't a crappie spinnerbait, it's more of a bass spinnerbait. But anyway, spinnerbait, guys. Here's what you do. You throw it out. You don't let it hit the water and sink. Because if a fish is sitting there looking at it and it sinks, he's just like, yeah, I'm not interested in that. It's not alive, or, you know, for whatever reason, it deters them. So if it hits the water and bam, you're taking off as soon as it hits the water, they're interested. You do not want it sinking. Start reeling before it hits. If you do like I do, and like you're supposed to, you have left-handed retrieve, so you can cast and start reeling immediately. If you cast and then you got to switch hands and start reeling, you know, you got a lot more to do to keep that bait from sinking. So keep that in mind. Something else you want to do, I did the straight retrieve for years. I mean, probably 20 years, just do a straight retrieve. Well, watching videos and just experimentation at my buddy's house, I started realizing over there, it's like they like it when you're herky-jerky, especially with a spinnerbait or a chatterbait, which we may get into too here. You know, it hits, you start reeling, and then you twitch. You know, you start reeling some more, give it a twitch. You know, start reeling some more, twitch, and just that little bit of extra action, and they really like it. I mean, and they're followers. They're gonna follow something. They're curious. You twitch it, and they think, oh man, it's running away from me. They want to eat it. You know, so be creative with your retrieve. It'll pay off. If you watch a lot of my videos, the second that I do a twitch or something like that, that's when they nail it every time almost. I watch other people's videos. It's like, yeah, you just twitched it and they nailed it. You know, so pay attention to that stuff when you're watching people's videos, when you're watching my videos. But spinnerbait, the #1 easiest way to catch bass for a new bass fisherman. Number 2, this is not super easy, but you want to start doing it. This is what you want to do, because once you do this, you can catch fish on everything. So here's what I do. Here's a rod I have rigged up. The #2 easiest way, and for beginners, you know, to get started bass fishing, you know, you have to have this in your arsenal. And it is, let me get the weeds off of this thing. It is the plastic worm. Looks kind of difficult probably for the first time. You're like, oh boy, you know. It's not. It's weedless. You don't have to worry about weeds. Here's what you do. You got your bullet sinker, right? You can buy a pack of those at Walmart. I got a handful right here. They got smaller ones. They've got bigger ones. I like the small ones. I think they're a 16th, probably a 32nd actually size. That little bullet head, you don't need to do anything to it. It can just float up and down your line, but that'll help it get through stuff. It gives it just a little bit of weight, when it falls, your bait will kind of stay up above a little bit, and it just, you know, tracks them. You know, that little tail's flopping around a little bit. But your number 2 thing, and you know, some guys will vary. I watched a guy named Randy Blockett, and I think he likes straight shank hooks for a lot of things. Well, I like the offset hook there. At Walmart, you can find the equal claw ones. I like one-aught for in a creek. You know, they're small. I've never had one bend out on a big fish. I'm not sure how many big fish I've actually caught in the creek. You know, maybe some 4-pounders. But, you know, if I go fish tournaments at Geist, I'm not going to use this hook probably. But I caught 4.5-pounders on it at Geist, you know, the first few tournaments I went to. And it was fine. So you put your bullet sinker on. Then you tie this on. And all I do, you know, hopefully you know how to tie. I grab it. Let's do one real quick here. This is a beginner tutorial video. Instead of breaking that off, okay, so I've got my bullet sinker on, right? Now, I'm taking my hook. I like to go through where the hook's facing towards you. I don't really think it matters. But I go through there, get it like that, wrap it around just like that. Then I just grab my hook and turn it 7 or 8, 10 times. Now I go down through this bottom hole. My eyesight's not as good as it once was. And then most times I will just pull that. That's the easiest way, just pull it. You get a nice little coil there. Let's see it, where's the camera at? There it is. I don't know if you can see it great. But you get a nice little coil, kind of looks like a cobra, like coiled up there. And if it just looks like a couple coils, then it's like, that may not be good enough. But I like to grab in the middle of my hook there and pull and make sure it's fine. Don't hit your fingernail on it, don't do anything else. Just make sure it's your fingers. Pull tight. If it's not going anywhere, you're good. So occasionally too, when you're fishing, you want to feel your line and make sure that you don't have any kinks in it or anything like that, or little weak spots, mainly, not kinks. Okay, so we're ready. You can bite off that extra, which I normally do. A piece of it in my mouth. Okay, there you go. Fish are followers, they're smart. I mean, the bigger fish, they see a big old tag on there. They're gonna be like, oh boy. Okay, now, let's rig a worm. Okay, here's our worm. This isn't rocket science, guys. You go buy some of these hooks, you buy the bullet sinkers. The spinnerbait's the way you want to start out. If you're just figuring it out, start out with the spinnerbait. If you want to do a little something else that's, I mean, very rewarding, it just makes you feel like, hey, I'm getting this figured out. I know what I'm doing here. Okay, what we want to do is you just take the front, probably 1/2 inch there, and you just run it through. Now that's the flat side. This is a Zoom 4-inch worm here. I love these. They're hard to find at Walmart sometimes. Walmart.com has them. But any worm is fairly similar. But anyway, if you get some Zoom worms, I come through. See, I'm not exactly through the middle, and I'm not worried about it. It's fine. I'm a little bit off to the side there. So I bring that up now and bring it around the crook, and see how it covers up my tie? Covers up my tie and my eyelet and everything. And then all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back down, and I'm gonna bunch this up a little bit, and then I'm just gonna come in the side, you know, just the side, or that's actually like the bottom, just a tiny bit there. And it looks like my point's sticking out, but it's really not. And a lot of people will go right into the meat of the worm. Well, I've learned from Randy Blockett, just get it in there a little bit and you catch more. Got like a hair on there or something, fuzzies. Just get in the side of that worm a tiny bit, and you're gonna get better hook sets. But they'll come up and they'll suck that whole thing in, And then when you set the hook, it's going to come out easier. So, and that's the other thing, you know, with this, you got to have you want to have a pretty good rod. So we're going to talk about rods and reel setups here in a minute, because when you're using a worm like this in a creek, I mean, you'll figure it out. Sometimes they'll just be on there when you're new, but you want to keep your line tight or watch your line. Your line might start moving. But normally you want to keep your line tight when you're working it. You just throw it out, let it sink down, you know, and then you start. There's guys that just reel one in. I don't do that, but throw it out, let it sink, and then you just start working it back to you. Rod up, wait, because the rod comes up, your bait goes up, starts coming back down. When it's sinking is when they're going to hit it 9 times out of 10. So then, okay, they didn't hit it, it's back on the bottom. Reel down, twitch, wait. You know, you just twitched it up off the bottom and now it's sinking back down again. Okay, didn't get a bite. Reel back down, twitch. You know, some people are twitchers. I'm a twitcher big time. Some people are pullers. You know, the guy that I grew up fishing with, he would reel down and then he'd just pull it up a little bit, pull it up a little bit, where it's more, you know, just going along the bottom. You know, I did more of a boom boom and it started sinking. And, you know, I felt like I usually would catch more fish because I was just firing them up. They thought, hey, that thing's running away from me. So a worm works. More fish are caught on a plastic worm, more bass are caught on a plastic worm than any other bait. It works. It takes a while to get used to it. But if you're a beginner, you know, start out with a spinnerbait like I did. I caught them on spinnerbait for a while, and then it's like, okay, I want to do something else. I want to figure out something else. So, you know, if you have 2 rods, have one set up with a spinnerbait where they might be chasing today, or hey, they're not biting great. They want something slow, you know. Then you can go to a worm. Okay, now here's the best thing about this rig, Texas rig. You can take this off. Well, they weren't biting that 4-inch worm today, right? So let's go with a Fluke. Same brand, Zoom. This is the Fluke White Pearl 10-pack. It's got salt in it. They have salt in them. This one does. Super Salt Plus. Now, not quite as easy to rig as the other, but I mean, it's not bad. You get a little bit on the top, come out the bottom just like we did earlier. Piece of cake. Sometimes you'll mess up and be like, oh man, that doesn't look good. Usually what I messed up when I was new and didn't like was when I come back into the bait, because I was trying to come back through the whole bait. So I'm gonna take it up, take it around the little crook. I kind of turn it when I go around the crook, make sure I don't hurt anything. Now, here's what I got. Now, some people will come all the way through their bait and have it, you know, pinned up there in the top or whatever. I mean, if there's not weeds, you can run it back through and have it like that if you wanted to. I don't usually do that. I like it weedless. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pin it on the side again like I did with the worm. Let's see, that's not. There we go. And these hooks are so light, you're not gonna throw it off a balance or anything by having it on the side. That's on the side. And you know, these have such good action in the water. My buddy got me onto these probably 20 years ago. And they're phenomenal. If they're not biting a worm, you know, they'll hit this. Let's see how this looks if I... Yeah, I tried to rig it a different way, and it's, I mean, you frustrate yourself. See, I tried to go all the way through it, and it's like, okay, that looks dumb. You know, and this hook's a little bit small for this. So it's better just getting in the side. Get the barb in there. Once the barb's in there, it doesn't look like the barb's in there, but it is. Once the barb's up in there, it's not gonna come, oh, the barb's not in there. Now it is. You know, you got to check it when you reel it in, but if it's barely in there like that, you're going to catch the fish. If you got to pull that hook point through the whole bait, you know, first, you know, and then get the fish. Heck, you may have pulled it out of their mouth or whatever. So that's another trick. Okay, hey, I know I had Texas rig now. I just buy the bullet sinkers, and I got some you know, some hooks, offset hooks that I like. Eagle Claw is what I usually use. Okay, now, okay, I can fish worms or flukes or any soft plastic. Here's a pack of slim, I can't even think of, net bait. They have these at Walmart. This isn't one of my favorites, but it's a crawdad. You know, I've caught fish on it. I use it for trailers sometimes on chatterbaits and things like that. Same thing. You just come through it. Now this one's a little harder to stick on the side, like I was talking about. You still can, but you can do this. You can do this with any soft plastic. You can buy tubes. Tubes are good for smallies. These crawdads are good for smallies. Now this bait's kind of thin, so I'm gonna go ahead and just come through the whole bait here. And you'll get used to bending it and stuff like that and getting it exactly the way you want and everything. See, I just got it. It's barely sticking up there to catch that fish. When he grabs it, that hook point will come out and grab him. So if there's a lot of weeds, you may not be able to do that. Now, when I'm working a crawdad bait like this, I kind of do it the same way. I'm kind of lucky that that's how I do a worm, but I do the twitch. Well, I do a little bit of sidearm more, where I'm going like this and then sidearm. Well, if you ever seen a crawdad swim, you know, they're swimming backwards, but they kind of jump up and then they go boom, boom, backwards, and they have their pinchers up, and then they, you know, they jump up, boom, boom, you know, and so when you do the twitch, you know, you're imitating that perfectly, and then it falls, you know, it's falling down the bottom, and then they come up there and nail it. Just another awesome way to be able to catch fish. I really like pit bosses. Here's a 4-inch pit boss. Those are a favorite of mine. They have 3-inch and 4-inch. This is a 4-inch. I think this is what's called, like, I'm not sure. I was gonna say weed monkey, but I'm not sure that's the color. They always appear a little less clear online when you're buying them. They used to have these at Walmart. They're impossible to find. I get these on Amazon now most of the time. Cabela's has them. I really like those. With the 4 legs, there's a lot of action. If one gets pulled off by a fish, you know, you still got 3 going, or, you know, if the middle 2 go, you still got 2 going or whatever, but they work great. Now here's one other way that we can do the, so we got our soft plastics like this, right? Okay, now, here's another way that we can do plastic worms. It's, this is called Wacky Rig, and super effective, super easy. We don't want the bullet sinker. You can have a bullet sinker sometimes if you want it to sink a little bit. If you got a lot of weeds and you just want to keep it up and maybe real slow sink, the weight of the bait will do it. What you want to do this with is a Senko style bait. These are Yum Dingers. They have them at Walmart. Everything I was showing you, they have at Walmart. Here's one here out of the package. It's a little bit deformed from the package, but see how my hook's in the middle here. I'm going to show you the hook here in a second. So these Gamakatsu octopus hooks, size 1. They're very small. This is what you use when you do Wacky Rig. Now, sometimes, I'm not going to lie, I'll have this tied on, and I'll be like, man, I want to go Wacky Rig. Well, it's a 1/0. The fish don't seem to care that much, but that is a big old hook. You know, some 6-pounder that's 100 years old might come up there and be like, look at that big old hook. I'm not going to eat that thing. So anyway, those Gamakatsu hooks at Walmart, obviously, you get those. It's just a small little hook there. It's like, man, that's not going to catch me a big fish. Yeah, it's going to be just fine, because they're going to suck that whole thing in, and they're going to get it. So all you do, same thing. Just come through, spin it. Now see, a lot of times if the hook's weird or if it's a different style, like a crankbait or something like that, or different style bait with treble hooks and stuff, I'll just grab the line and spin it. You can grab the bait too and spin it. Usually I'll try to just grab the line. Heck, you can do this too. Usually you wouldn't have the worm on there yet, but okay, I got a lot of line twists there coming through the bottom. Now I'm going to pull it tight. Now what some people do is, let's pull it. Okay, I pulled it a little bit tight there. See that extra loop there? What you're supposed to do and what you can do is, if you left yourself enough line down here at the bottom, is you can bring that back through. Let's do it. You bring that back through that. Then you grab the tag here at the top. See, I've got it back through. I've got it back through the top. Now I'm going to grab that end, pull it up through. I grab it with my mouth normally. And then I pull it. So, it looks kind of funny, but there we go. That looks better. Pulled it, and then it came, so it's going back through again, and it's a lot less likely to come off. If you want to check this tie, you know, you can grab your bait with some pliers or something and pull on it. You can try to hold it like that and pull it. It's not going anywhere. So feel my line, make sure it's good, no kinks or anything. Now what this does with this Wacky Rig, you want to use a Senko type bait. You want to get it right in the center like that. This is one of the most effective ways. I mean, it's, even though your hook's exposed too, it's really weedless. How much can that little hook grab weeds? Not a lot. So when you're pulling this, it goes like this. You know, you get that when you're doing it. And it just, I don't know, it just drives them nuts. And then it'll sit there and do that too, down there. So try that if you want to try something different. It's just that little Gamakatsu octopus hook. You know, we're not talking a lot of money here. These octopus hooks are probably $2. These are $3.50. These are, you can Texas rig these too if you want to do it that way. And it's weedless with the true turn hook or the Eagle Claw offset hook. But you know, this is a little more advanced, but you got to start doing this. You know, start out with a spinnerbait. You know, if you want to get fancier, you can buy a bigger spinnerbait. This is a Booyah spinnerbait at Walmart, probably $5. I like these MEP spinners. They're inline. They got treble hooks. They'll get you in trouble if you're not good at casting yet. But that's like $9. You can catch some giants on that. This is a number 5 MEPS Aglia. They have like number 3s. Is number 2 or 3 is probably the biggest you're gonna find at Walmart. So this one you got to get online. It's more for, you know, bigger bass, pike, muskie. But I love those, and you can catch a lot of smallie on them if you get better at casting. If you're fine at casting, you know, get some of those. But that's my recommendation. We're already at, you know, a little bit longer than I thought we would go for this, but you know, those are, you know, we say 2 techniques. You know, spinnerbait, you can fish it so many different ways. You want to throw it out, start reeling immediately. The other thing I forgot to tell you, keep it where you can see it the whole time, because sometimes it'll just go sideways and you're like, oh, fish just grabbed it. You know, boom, I got one. So, you know, Jimmy Houston on a video I watched a long time ago, he's like, hey, I always keep it where I can see it. You know, when it's colder weather, you may want to let it sink and slow roll it. Normally I keep it where I can see it at all times. So even when it's colder weather, the fish, you know, if they're up shallow, they'll eat it. If they're down deeper, a spinnerbait may not be what you want to be using anyway. But and then start with the spinnerbait, learn how to do the soft plastic stuff, and you'll be, you know, you'll start getting it. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, let me know. Be glad to help anybody out there getting started. It's not hard, like I said. You know, $3 $3.50, probably the same. These are probably $3 for the 4-inch worms. And don't let people tell you, oh, you need a big old 10-inch worm to catch. I mean, you can use a 10-inch worm if you want, but you're gonna catch a lot more fish. I've got crappie, rock bass, smallies, largemouth, you know, spotted bass, everything on a 4-inch worm. The zooms they also have there for like $3.50. So, you know, we're getting started for not, you know, a whole bunch of money. I wanted to talk about rods real quick. They've got these rods here at Walmart. Let's get this one over here. These Luz Xfinity rods. These black ones may be getting a little bit harder to find, these Xfinity rods, but they have a lot of Luz rods at Walmart. This is a little higher end reel. You can get it at walmart.com. It's a Mach 2. But this is a 200 series. It's a little smaller than the 300 series. This is a MH2 200A Mach 2 by Luz. I mean, if you want to get into this, you know, this setup will last you forever. This is a medium action rod. So if you get fish that aren't quite as big, they still give you a good fight on this. This is probably $100 or just a little more setup. You get these rods now for $39 if you can find them at Walmart. Medium action might be a little bit harder to find. But you know, it doesn't have to be the all black Xfinity. These are the ones I like. Medium heavy is usually what I always use on everything. But you know, these are good rods where you're gonna have a lot better feel than your Zebco 33 maybe you've been using bobber fishing, or you know, something like that in a closed face. That's something, I mean, you want to get used to an open face. If you're not, you know, that's something else you want to get used to. You know, if you're just trying it, you know, go with left hand retrieve. You throw with that right hand and you reel with your left immediately as soon as it starts hitting. You know, if you're just starting out, you might as well start out doing it right. So these rods are great. They're IM7. Some of them are IM8s now. Some of the older ones are IM6s. But they're great. That reel's a little bit more than this one. Let's see if I can reel this up a little bit here. That Wacky Rig, I'm telling you, you can just catch them all year round on that. This is one they have at Walmart a lot, this reel. It's a Xfinity reel, so it's kind of made for the rod, but this is a medium heavy rod, 6 foot 10 inch. That medium, or this is 7 foot, I'm sorry. These reels are $39 all day at Walmart, and the rods are $39. So you're talking $80 for this setup right here. This is one of my favorite spinning reels ever. $80, and then you could buy these baits. You could have $100 in it and be like, hey, you know, I watched this guy on TV and I got half the stuff that he uses for $100. You know, I'm ready to go. So anyway, you can get everything at Walmart and you can be set up to go, you know, for cheap like that, and ready to catch some fish. So if this helped you out, comment on it, like, subscribe. You know, I try to do reviews on baits. I try to teach you tips and stuff like that as I'm fishing too. So if you're new, you know, you might learn a few things along the way, you know, just different things that'll help you catch more fish. So appreciate you guys watching this. If you're just getting started, you know, I'm always available in the comments or whatever, my videos. Instagram, you can hit me up, ask me questions. I'd be more than happy to help anybody out. So good luck. You can do it. It's not hard. You know, if you're, you know, we're a bluegill fisherman or crappie fisherman or you know, weren't a fisherman at all, you know, get your spinnerbaits first. Start out doing that. It's just easy. You can catch them all year long on a spinnerbait, and you're just throwing it out and reeling it in. You know, get a little twitch every once in a while, and you're gonna catch fish. You know, don't be afraid to. I want to catch big ones. You know, don't be afraid to start small and get used to things, and you might catch some bluegill, crappie, rock bass. You know, everything will hit this bait. So start with that Strike King Mini King. It would be better on the medium action rod than the medium heavy probably. The medium heavy would still throw it. But you probably want to start out with some big game line on your rod, maybe 10 pound. And you can tie that same knot down at your reel, pull it tight, cut off the extra, and then you're ready to start reeling it in. But you got this. Let me know how everything works out for you. Appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe, comment, and everything. Thank you.